This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No. Y'all,
This
just
is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll.
Welcome to DBL. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Yeah.
Feeling good?
Feel great.
How do you feel?
I feel better.
You feel good?
Yeah.
Good.
You know, when you have kids, the 24-hour,
Yes.
you know?
Lose some
and you don't
weight.
want to be on live TV, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know.
So, a little too much information.
Yeah,
Let's talk about somebody else. All right. You know Adam Levine from Maroon 5 and The Voice. Well, he's being accused of having an affair with an Instagram model. Adam is married to Victoria's Secret Beate Prinsloo. I hope I'm saying that right. They have 2 kids together and 1 on the way. So, a different Instagram model, Adam is allegedly having a physical affair with, posted a screenshot of her alleged text messages with Adam, and even wanted to name his unborn baby after her. Let's just watch.
At the time, you know, I was young, I was naive, and I mean, quite frankly, I feel exploited. Adam and I were seeing each other for about a year. After I stopped talking to him over, you know, a period of months, this is how he came back into my life. He said, okay, serious question. I'm having another baby, and if it's a boy, I really want to name it Sumner.
So Adam posted a statement on Instagram before he was interrupted by a different model, I'm just kidding, saying that he, quote, crossed the line, used poor judgment, and was inappropriate with another woman. He did deny having an affair, though. Erica's not buying it.
Erica's having some trouble today.
I mean, which line are we speaking of?
Oh, it's not good.
It's like, I really had to think about this because, you know, I started in morning radio like 20 years ago. So I remember, you know, when Perez Hilton was like the big thing, and you would hear all these stories, and it was like, so-and-so cheated on his wife. Like, oh my gosh, that is terrible. I can't believe this man cheated on his wife. Then somebody else will follow up, yeah, this person cheated on his pregnant wife. And we're like, oh my God, it cannot get any worse. And now it's, he cheated on his pregnant wife and wants to name the child, allegedly, after the mistress. I mean...
That's the royal flush.
Yes.
Wow to the wow, wow, wow. And it's still not shocking. It's not shocking because men and women, I guess too, if then whatever, when people have a certain degree of power, they have not been told no in quite some time. You cannot cut that off. They have to decide on what terms, and they will elevate and escalate until it becomes, I'm going to name my unborn child after my mistress. I am not shocked by this. It's just wow.
Yeah. I mean, what she's saying, Tori, makes me think that makes a lot of sense because it seemed like she said they hadn't talked in a while, and then the first thing he comes back with is, I'll name my kid after you, just to kind of get her back into the picture. But this is a level where not only do I wonder if it'll affect his career, because his fan base, I'm guessing, is mostly women,
But also families from The Voice.
Right.
This is really detrimental.
This is not his demo.
Not his,
And all this is alleged, but there's levels to cheating.
Yeah, and this is really bad.
And the intimacy that they had, I'm sure his wife must be looking and just
His pregnant wife.
picturing where she was when because there are timestamps, where she was when he sent this. He was in bed with me. We were at the play together. It's like this has a lot of layers of it's really, if it's true, it's really bad, Tori.
Yeah, I agree. And she was supposedly put this out because a tabloid was going to get it, much like Perez Hilton, and she wanted to get ahead of it. But it puts her in the spotlight, and it puts him in the spotlight, and he was this Super Bowl nice guy with tattoos, kind of emo. I have a lot of feelings. Well, now you have feelings that are very uncomfortable for everyone. I mean, not good for anyone, but I feel very bad for Beate. Very bad.
I hope, me and my wife were talking about this yesterday, just sitting on the couch, and she was breaking down the details. I'm like Erica, I'm like, wait, she was pregnant too? Name the mistress after. I'm like, I go, this is not possible. There has to be another side to this story for this man.
No.
I mean, Jordan just told me, like, I'll pull a straight Buttafuoco if that ever happens. You know what I mean? And I was like, it's understandable.
Yeah.
It's like it really shows you like the depths of what it takes for people to feel like they're feeling something. And his depth, allegedly, is to look at his child.
How low is that?
And think of his mistress.
Ugh.
But forever.
While the baby is in utero in his wife's Lord have mercy. I would have to. I mean, Jordan was very kind. Of what she would have done because I mean, there are just certain things. Well, it would have been nice knowing all y'all.
Yeah. Wow. Listen, I try to see both sides, every story. This one's tough. I stuck up for him from the Super Bowl. Adam, you're on your own, buddy. All right. The Stars reunited in the ballroom for the 31st season of Dancing with the Stars, which debuted on Disney Plus last night. Host Tyra Banks was joined by Alfonso Ribeiro, who was up in the skybox to talk with the stars after their performances. Selma Blair, who has mobility issues from MS, gave an emotional performance and brought everyone in the room to tears. At the end, she called her experience wonderful and said she was so grateful. Shangela made history for being the first drag queen to perform on the show, making them the first show's all-male pair. And Cheryl Ladd, who is 71, also stunned the judges with her dancing and said she was going to dance her fellow competitors right off the stage, even if they're young enough to be her children. And Real Housewives star Teresa Giudice narrowly escaped elimination. She ended up in the bottom 2, but will be back to dance another day. Not too many reactions, huh?
That was quite the picture that we showed at the end. I've seen that twice now. With Teresa on the table.
Can we get a picture of that? I was reading. I didn't get a chance to see it.
I didn't.
You do understand that Teresa on a table has more cultural relevance.
She's the one who threw the table.
Table flipper, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's what that means?
Yes.
I kind of got like a eat sushi off.
She has a commercial with Dak Prescott where he flips the table and then she makes that comment.
Oh,
That's
so
her.
it totally does. Totally does. So how do you think it did? Did anyone tune in on Disney Plus to watch?
I did, and I noticed the main difference here is that there are no more commercials at all. So that break, if someone gets hurt or it didn't go well, there isn't any time. So if something happens, they go to Alfonso in the skybox, and there you can see him fixing the floor and changing it. So there's some room for what we do, make a lot of bloopers and errors and have some more transparency.
Is that kind of cool, though?
Yeah, that's sort of the draw. I thought it was nice, and I thought
the draw of this show was for it to be pristine ballroom dancing, not to see people moving floor tiles.
I mean, that's another argument as well. I think some people wanted it to be very glossy and polished, and some people want that transparency. For me, the age group that likes Dancing with the Stars would prefer it more polished, so I agree with you. I'm not really getting the changeover, but I hope it works for them.
Really? You're going to let him slide on the whole point of Dancing with the Stars is pristine ballroom dancing? Master P was on.
But why are we saying that the great businessman Master P could not be a great ballroom dancer?
Do you remember?
It was not great. I mean, it is celebrities.
Judgy. I'm just
They like that
it's
classy.
celebrities, but they're, this is kind of a pristine event. This isn't even just like so you think you can dance.
It's
where it's
classy,
like
right?
It's class. So I just wonder if you're looking for that, the dress, the prestige, the voting, and the explanation behind why you voted this way. Do you also want to see somebody fixing a light in the back? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Makes me say, na 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 na.
Na 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 na.
Na 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 na.
Did you get that?
Uh-huh.
What song is that?
The Nana song.
I was hoping I was right with Master P.
Yes, you were
All right,
absolutely
coming up on DBL, I knew I was right because Rob laughed over there. Our interview with Martin Short, he's telling us what it was like playing the iconic character Jiminy Glick. Ooh, I missed that one. That was a good one, I bet. And Gene Simmons is talking about why he doesn't need friends anymore. Can you relate?
Stop.
Closed captioning provided by
Hey, just stopping by to say we're taking over. We're made of this. We're taking over. You know what time it is. We're taking over.
Good car, like crank it up song.
Yeah, it's
We're going down memory lane on these.
Master P memory.
Can you guys sing a little bit more of
Yeah.
it for me?
That's the main. That's the hook.
Master P.
Make them say.
Make them say, na 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 na.
By the way,
It's an
Master
oldie.
P, fascinatingly brilliant,
Entrepreneur, right?
businessman.
I did a big, long,
Yeah.
almost a whole day shoot with him and his son once.
Really?
It was great.
Is that Bow Wow?
No, it's Little Romeo.
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 Yeah, but Master P, like he sold a ton of. I feel like he was the first person to really understand branding. They used to put gold tanks on all their albums, before the internet, where you could see who judged, like that's how you could tell quality. So
like it was a gold, like a tank?
It was like literally a gold tank. That was the No Limit.
Oh,
was
that's
their
cool.
thing. So like he took that.
What's that?
He walked away from a big deal and
Good,
reinvested
man.
himself.
Yeah.
Made
He deserved it.
millions of dollars on the back end, and he had this really interesting thing where he flooded the market with just new rappers.
Well, he's
so he
their
made
draw,
a ton of money
he's
in
their
like
ticket
2
for the
years.
next
Really?
years,
And then took it.
And he really is,
you
like,
know, he's
better
part of
than
that.
everybody else.
He played pro basketball. He's part of that Snoop Dogg cereal line.
Whoa. Yeah, that new Snoop cereal?
Yeah, Snoop Loops. Like
So is
that's
he just,
him.
now he's just, is he rapping at all anymore, or is
No,
it just
he's like
entrepreneur?
He hasn't for a long time.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's really
Just
just
business.
a crazy.
He wanted to be a pro basketball player too.
Yeah, he played.
Remember that?
He played in the preseason for the Raptors, I think.
Yeah.
He scored 8 points. Like in the
Master
NBA.
P!
Yeah, Master P's like.
He was kind of a big dude.
Yeah, he
tall.
he went to the University of Houston on a basketball scholarship.
How do you know this about him?
It's part of my hip hop. I hired somebody to do research. I've been reading about Master P.
I know all about him too because I interviewed him for a whole day.
Yeah.
How it works in the marketing.
Wow.
He is the godfather of marketing in hip hop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Gene Simmons, he doesn't have any friends, and he's perfectly okay with that. I could have filled in a joke, but I'm being nice here. In an interview with Goldmine magazine, Gene said he is more interested in doing his own things rather than hanging out with friends and pretending to be interested in what they want to do. And he added that he considers his Kiss bandmate Paul Stanley a friend, but said they only get together when they're doing band stuff.
Good friends.
So could anyone kind of relate to this? Like, no, I can understand closing the circle, right? But how about no friends?
Yeah, that seems drastic. To not have anyone that you consider a friend, but I do understand making your circle smaller, and
Yeah.
I'm a huge proponent of making your circle smaller because I think friendships are they evolve, and a natural course of a friendship is around 7 years. This isn't something I made up. I had a friendship expert on my show.
Wow.
But I think that those things happen as you get older.
Can you have a circle of one?
A circle of what?
Of one.
I mean,
Because you're
well,
talking about closing your circle, but if it's just you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in my case, I have very few friends, but I have a lot of family that are very much inner circle because I have so many siblings and we're very close.
And you trust
so
each other,
it's
yeah.
like, I don't have a ton of, I'm not the person that's like, I have 85 friends, but I have a big, small.
Acquaintances?
A big, small circle.
Would you say acquaintances? You consider acquaintance a friend as well? Or are those two different things?
Yeah, I think that there's levels of friendship. But if I'm like really telling you intimate things about my life and I trust you to hold that, then I consider you a friend.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm reading this book called Surrounded by Idiots, and I highly recommend it. I know, it's funny, but it's actually, it categorizes people into 4 colors: red, yellow, green, blue. And it was originally for a sales.
racist.
No, it's not. It was for a
This is
sales.
hungry hippo.
It was for a salesperson, so when he would walk in, he'd be like, that's a yellow, I know how to do it. He's a blue, she's a green, and they would adjust their sales pitch to them. I'm a yellow. Yellows need to talk to other people. They live for it. They live and breathe with extroversion. They need that back and forth. Blues don't need anybody at all. They can be perfectly satiated with themselves at home.
Any of us blues?
No. Blues are actually quite rare. And I think Gene Simmons is on that spectrum where it's like, I'm comfortable with my routines. I want to do this. And I don't need that back and forth.
Could you have shades of blue?
You can be a blue-green.
This is a TED
I'm
Talk
wearing
off the
blue right
rails.
now.
But you could do different ones. But I think that's okay because that's his personality type. And he likes that. And that's okay.
I would
hate
argue
that.
my dad was a blue. My dad was
Interesting.
very much He's good. Like, my dad never, you know, and I openly say I think my dad was on the spectrum, definitely, and I have no shame in that, but he never.
A lot of people on the spectrum are bruised.
Right, and I think that there's some people that if you are somewhere on the spectrum, not saying anything about Gene Simmons, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Right.
Good at music, focused on one thing only. Let's do some math here. But, you know, I look at people like that, and they just don't see the need in focusing on anything else but what is right in front of them. When I look at my young son, he doesn't dislike you. He's just more interested in what he's doing. And he doesn't ever feel the need to have small talk or
wastes his energy.
Ask somebody on the elevator how their weekend was when he doesn't care. It's really kind of living your life in a very non-fraudulent way.
Truthful.
Rather than just like, oh, tell me about your cat, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, every interaction that I'm assuming that Mr. Simmons does have is probably more transactional, but more real as well.
Yeah, but I think you could have shades of all of it, right?
Yeah.
You could be a good member of society.
Jeff, you're a blue or a yellow, and that's it.
No, you know what I mean? Like, you could just be like, hey, it's great. Whatever, we gotta go. I don't care, I'm blue. Coming up on DBL, our interview with Martin Short. He's talking about what it was like teaming up with Steve Martin again on the Hulu hit series Only Murders in the Building.
Drivers are concerned about anything that makes driving more expensive, including their fuel economy. So a viewer emailed us saying, we've seen complaints of much lower fuel economy on cars. Are they adding more ethanol, and is this causing the issue? To answer this question, we turn to Sean Huff, a researcher at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, the U.S. Department of Energy, and Robbie Russell, owner of Engines Express. Huff said ethanol has been blended into gasoline for the last 2 decades to increase the octane level in gas, which prevents the engine from knocking.
Because that can be damaging to the engine. It can also cause the engine to not produce as much power or be as fuel efficient as it otherwise would be.
According to the Department of Energy, ethanol contains less energy than gasoline. So the more ethanol in the blend, the lower the gas mileage would be. E85, which goes in flex fuel cars, has 27% less energy than gasoline. So more ethanol would reduce your fuel economy. But Huff said the federal government does frequent testing to make sure that the gas you buy meets its requirements.
They actually go around and they take samples of fuel at your local gas station, and they take it back to a laboratory and they run chemical tests on it to verify that the fuel is what it says it is.
So we can verify, no. Gas companies are not adding more ethanol to your gasoline. But you do need to be careful about which kind you put in your car. Russell said flex fuel vehicles have engines made with stainless steel, which allows them to handle the high moisture content of E85 gasoline. If you put E85 in a standard engine, he said,
it causes corrosion in the fuel system. And if your fuel system is not stainless steel, like the flex fuel vehicles are, what can happen, it can damage components, especially rubber components. It can cause rust, things such as that.
With your Verify, I'm David Lippman.
Martin Short is one of the most beloved comedians in Hollywood, playing hilarious characters we all know and love. And earlier, we had the honor of chatting with him about those iconic roles, and we got to hear stories about some of his very famous friends, including Mary Lou Henner, who joined us on the panel. Check it out. Please welcome to the show, Martin Short.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my
Marty,
God. Wow.
You know, when they asked me to come back for a week, I said, the first person I want to book is Marty Short.
I guess I'm going to call you Marty, too. I was going to, when we started, I was going to call you Mr. Short, but I was like, I don't know if you're at the DMV. So I'm going to, well, you are family now. We appreciate you being here, bro.
How about calling me Mr. Marty Short?
Done. Mr. Marty Short, welcome, man. We're happy that you're here. Now, I love to hear that you and Steve Martin are currently touring a comedy show together, which is super dope. I heard that you're also so close with Mr. Tom Hanks. You guys are having colonoscopy parties, which is a great idea.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so please, the floor is yours.
Is that true? Is it true?
Yeah, it's true. We started doing this a few years ago. It was Tom, Steve, our friend Walter Parks, and we would meet at Steve's on colonoscopy eve, we call it, the night before, and we would all drink our barium, and then we would play cards, and very few times all 4 people were at the table playing.
I mean, Marty, it's like so great to have you here, and everybody's so excited. But I want to know more about Only Murders in the Building, which we're going to show a little clip and ask you some questions about. Was it your idea? I know it was Steve's.
No. About 10 years ago, Steve Martin was at a party at the famous manager Sandy Gallen's house. And Sandy said, Steve, you should write a show for them. And Steve kind of pondered that for a decade and came up with this murder mystery with 3 people in a building.
Marty, you're breaking in and out, and it's killing me. But I'm just I could just stare at you, and I think
I'm at my cottage. Look, I'm at my cottage.
Oh, wow. Mr. Marty Short.
Lakeview. Okay. Ping pong, a sunroom.
The problem is, and I just got the internet redone, so I think it's your fault.
It probably is.
Well, you two have such different styles of acting and just being. I mean, you're like the extreme extrovert, and Steve is like an extreme introvert. And a lot of people don't know that about him, but you and I do because you've worked with him forever. He talks about retiring, but you're never going to retire. I don't think he will either. But do you ever see yourself not doing this?
He was actually being a little facetious.
Good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because what he was saying was, well, I'm in this hit TV show and I'm touring around different cities for the next 2 years with Marty Short, and I have a new book. So if that's retirement, I guess
I see.
Okay, Martin, so I never missed an episode of Jiminy Glick as a kid. Never.
Any education at all?
I bet not much. No, I went to college. What college? Queens.
What I loved is how you would just ask the most absurd questions. Look at you with Larry David right there. Did anyone you interview ever actually get mad at you?
No, they kind of knew what the deal was, They kind of knew. A lot of them were my friends. I remember saying to Mel Brooks, "What's your big beef with the Nazis?" And, I knew. And Mel kind of went, "What's my big beef with the Nazis?" I don't know, they're rude.
Oh man, it's a Jew on this panel that killed me. All right, can you teach us, as you did, Larry David, the Jiminy Click voice? Because I hear it goes up here and then it goes. Is that similar? Am I right? A little bit?
That was.
Yeah, there was a guy when I was a kid. If you stayed off his lawn all summer, you got free passes. He owned a movie theater. And he had a voice that was very high, and then it would go very low. And so, you kind of remember that, and then 30 years later, you create a character at his expense.
I'm just curious, how do you never break character? Because I think that's what really pulls people in to you being an interview, and why, like, Jiminy Glick becomes a real person, because it's
so
almost
committed,
like Marty Short goes away for a little while. Do you ever break character? Is there something you do to stay in that?
I don't know. Jiminy Glick, particularly, some characters I would do were very written, very structured. I know that. You don't think I know that? It's so funny. Yeah. I mean, I would do rhythms. But Jiminy Glick was always just an improvised character. And I would, we would shoot, let's say, 14 minutes to get it down to a 5-minute interview. And I'd look back as I'm editing it, and I'd see me say things like, "I take great umbrage." And I think, I've never used that expression in my life. I don't even know what it means.
It sounded good.
It's another part of my brain saying.
Yeah. So good. I wish we could have you all show long. Marty, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just at the lake. Look.
Yes, stay with us.
I love you so much, Marty. Thank you so much. So much.
Thank you, guys. I love you, Mary Lou. I love you all.
Too.
And DBL Nation, you can watch Martin on his hit show Only Murders in the Building on Hulu, and catch his touring comedy show with Steve Martin. You won't believe what they look like now. Find tickets on stevemartin.com. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Bye. What an honor.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
On August 31st, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration authorized an updated booster shot for COVID-19 that also protects against most prominent subvariants of Omicron. People on social media criticized the decision because they said vaccine makers only tested the boosters on mice. Verify viewer Brian emailed us to ask if the new boosters weren't tested on humans. So Brian, let's verify. Were the updated Omicron booster shots tested on mice, not humans, before they were authorized? Our sources are the FDA, vaccine makers Pfizer and Moderna, and Jennifer Pancorbo with North Carolina State University's Biomanufacturing Training and Education Center. When a vaccine is first developed, it undergoes rigorous testing and human clinical trials before it's authorized for use, as we saw with the original COVID-19 vaccine. This is because vaccine makers are creating something new, and they need to prove the delivery system, or method of how your body learns to protect itself, is safe and effective. When a vaccine requires updating, manufacturers use the same delivery service. They just tweak what it's teaching the body.
Everything else in that construct that we're using to vaccinate people is exactly the same over and over and over and over.
These updates don't require lengthy human trials because vaccine makers do test them on animals to make sure they're effective. We see this every year when a new flu vaccine is released. It's only tested on animals because it's similar to previous versions. In the case of the new COVID-19 boosters, manufacturers were conducting human trials on an Omicron booster before the BA4 and 5 subvariants appeared. The FDA directed vaccine makers to also add protection against those strains too, since they're now the most prevalent variants. The vaccine makers then tested the updated boosters on mice to confirm it works. So, yes, the updated Omicron booster shots were tested on mice, not humans, before they were authorized. But this is very common among all vaccines when they're being updated and not created from scratch. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
I wish we didn't have to talk about this, but unfortunately, some people use your generosity to make money. So we verified a few quick ways to avoid disaster donation scams. To find out how to avoid those scams, we went to the Better Business Bureau and the Federal Trade Commission's fact sheets on donations. First, the BBB says do a little research on the charity you choose. You can go to give.org to find the BBB's trusted charities. Another big one, the Better Business Bureau says be skeptical of crowdfunding campaigns. Campaigns set up on sites like GoFundMe.com do very little vetting of the people who set up the campaigns. The BBB also says give money rather than goods. It helps faster and offers charities flexibility. And to add to that, be wary of any charity promising 100% help to victims and families. Every organization has some overhead. And finally, when you do find somewhere to donate, the FTC reminds you to designate the disaster relief you want your money to help. Otherwise, the money could just go to a general fund. Follow these pointers and you have a better chance of your money going where it's needed. One final point. After you donate, check to see the money went where it was supposed to go. Transparent organizations will post on their websites, but others, you may have to wait until they release audited financial statements to find out. With Verify, I'm Matt Gregory.
Are you on your phone right now? Well, you might want to put it down unless you're watching DBL. It's time for some joint and muscle support brought to you by Omega XL. Doctors are seeing more and more patients for injuries caused by smartphones. Text neck is one of the most common, along with pinky pain. This is for real. Prolonged use of smartphones puts stress on your muscles and joints, which cause inflammation and can lead to pain. If you're experiencing this, switching to a smaller, lighter phone could help. But if your pain is severe, it might be time to consult a physical therapist. The simplest solution to fix the pain, use your smartphone less. Omega XL has improved the lives of millions of consumers, supported by 30 years of clinical research. Omega XL's powerful and proven benefits have transformed the lives of athletes, celebrities, and dedicated daily users. Call 1-800-686-5329 or visit OmegaXL.com for more information. Pinky pain, huh?
Love it. Neck. Tech neck.
We're just gonna leave it. I'm just gonna leave it there and see you tomorrow.